Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you had a good day. Are you ready to start off with the pledge today? Well, let's stand up and say the pledge. Stand up with me. Put your right hand over your heart and look at the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And you can sit down. I picked another Bible story for us today, one that you heard and that we talked about, and it's about Jonah. And the story is called God's Messenger. So listen as I read about Jonah. God had a job for Jonah, but Jonah didn't want it. Go to Nineveh, God said, and tell your worst enemies that I love them. No, said Jonah. Those are bad people doing bad things. Exactly, said God. They have run far away from me, but I can't stop loving them. I will give them a new start. I will forgive them. No, said Jonah. They don't deserve it. I'll run away, Jonah said to himself. Far away, so far away that God won't be able to find me. Then I won't have to do what God says. It's a good plan, he said, because as far as he knew, it was a good plan. But of course, it wasn't a good plan at all. It was a silly plan, because you can run away from God, but he will always come and find you. So Jonah went ahead with his not very good plan. One ticket to not Nineveh, please, he said, and he boarded a boat sailing in the very opposite direction of Nineveh. Well, it wasn't long before a fierce wind blew and the boat started to lurch and pitch and roll, and everyone started turning green. They were getting seasick. Jonah sat bolt upright in his bed. You see, the first thing that went wrong with Jonah's not very good plan was that God sent a big storm after him. And the sailors couldn't sail their ship properly. We're sinking, they screamed, and they started throwing everything overboard. Suitcases, food, whatever they could find. Well, by now Jonah knew that the storm was his fault. Throw me instead, he shouted to the sailors, and the storm will stop. The sailors weren't too sure about that. It's the only way you can be saved, Jonah cried. And so 1, 2, 3, splash! No sooner had Jonah hit the water than the waves grew calm. The wind died down, and the storm stopped. And just then, when Jonah thought it was all over, when he was sure he was going to drown, God sent a big fish to rescue him. The fish swallowed Jonah whole with one big gulp. Jonah must have thought he had died. It was so dark in there, like a tomb, like a cave. But then he smelled the rotting food and felt the slimy seaweed, and he knew he wasn't dead. He was in the belly of the fish, sitting there in the darkness for 3 whole days. Jonah had plenty of time to think. Pretty soon he realized his plan was, well, a very silly plan indeed. He was sorry for running away. He prayed to God from inside the great fish and asked God to forgive him. After 3 days, the fish spit Jonah safely out onto the sandy beach. Just then, Jonah heard someone calling his name. Go to Nineveh, God said. And this time, Jonah said yes. He went straight to Nineveh and told everyone God's wonderful message. Even though you've run far from God, he can't stop loving you, Jonah told them. Run to him so he can forgive you. So the people of Nineveh listened to Jonah, and they started loving God. They learned to do what God said and to stop running away from him, just like Jonah. Many years later, God was going to send another messenger with the same wonderful message. Like Jonah, he would spend 3 days in utter darkness. But this messenger would be God's own Son, Jesus. He would be called the Word because he himself would be God's message. God's message translated into our own language. Everything God wanted to say to the whole world in a person. So I knew you would like that story. Remember when Jonah was in the belly of that fish? He had a lot of time to think about what he had done wrong. Well, yesterday we talked about the letter X, and we talked about Roxy Fox. So let's sing our song about Roxy Fox, and you sing with me.
X.
Roxy Fox, Roxy Fox, X says X, 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 X. X-ray box and mixer, accent 6 and exit, X says X. Let me tell you a little bit about X. X's sound gets its sound from 2 letters, the letter K and the letter S. And so it sounds like this. X, X, X. So X borrows some sounds from some other letters. And when we make an X, we would start over here at the very top, and we would slide down that slide. And then we would start over here on this slide, and we would slide down to make the capital X. And then we could do the same thing for the little X. Put your crayon right there at the top, and slide down the little slide. And then put your crayon and slide down this little slide. And that would make the little X. And remember, X says X, X, X. Let me read you a little bit more and tell you a little bit more about Roxy Fox, because we were talking about her cubs yesterday. So as her cubs got older, their eyes opened, and soon the young foxes could go outside the den to play. They would run and pounce or jump on each other and wrestle and bite each other playfully. It might look to us as though the cubs were hurting each other, but God has made them to learn to hunt while they play. Someday Roxy's cubs will have to hunt for their own food. Running and pouncing and biting are all things the foxes will need to be able to do to catch their own food. Wrestling together helps the cubs get strong, just as running and climbing on the playground helps you get strong. And when Roxy goes hunting for food, she may find more than she can eat at one time. And when that happens, Roxy finds a place to hide her food. She digs a hole and she buries the food. Then she can come back to it later. Roxy can usually remember where she hid the food, but sometimes she forgets where something is buried and never finds it again. So that's a little bit more that I wanted to tell you about Roxy Fox. And I hope you have a great day today and work on that letter X, and I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. Bye.